Hey guys, welcome back to my channel, and from today we are starting with Python programming, and I will be uploading further videos on Python programming. And to stay tuned, be to subscribe to my channel so that whenever I upload a new video on Python programming you get a notification. So let's get started. So before we start with the Python programming, I would recommend to go through my previous video that is about Visual Studio Code and how we can set up our Visual Studio Code so that we can program efficiently in Python. So let's get started. So before starting this, I would give a brief overview what we are going to learn in this tutorial. So we will be looking at the data types in Python. Then we will be looking at the naming convention which we have for the variables in Python and what are variables actually. And then we will be looking at some of the operation, that is arithmetic operations, which we can perform in Python. And finally we will be looking at the how we can pass comments in Python. So let me quickly move to my Visual Studio Code. So as if you would have gone through my previous video, I have explained how you can set up your Visual Studio Code, and I will quickly go through my this tab in which it shows me the Explorer tab where I can see all the files. So here I will quickly add a new file and I will name it as my first to Python video 1.py, and I will just press enter and it will be created, and this will be opened in a new tab. Let me increase the font size, and this I have done using Ctrl+Shift+. Now the first thing which we will see is what are the data types in Python. So in Python we have several type of data types, and we can say we have integers, then we have complex data types, then we have tuples, then we have list, then we have set, then we have float. So in this video we will not be keeping too much of our data types. We will be just discussing about the first two, that is integer and float, and while we move forward further in the videos we will be looking at the other data types. So in this video we will be looking at the integers and float. So in Python, if you want to store any value, then we have to assign it to some variable, and variable is basically a holder which holds a value for you. So if I go to my Python programming, suppose you want to describe a variable, then you just let me put a cbang line, and this tells that this tells my interpreter, or my, what we can say, whenever I run this program, this line tells that which interpreter you want to run your program with. So here I want that my program should run with Python 3, and therefore I have used this line user bin env Python 3. So let's suppose I want to have a value a30. So this is how I can assign a integer value to a variable, and variable is basically a placeholder, or not a placeholder, a value holder for me in the memory for this value 30. So everything that is stored in Python is basically an object. So here 30 is an object and a is a reference to it. So if I want to pass a comment here that a is a reference and 30 is an object in memory which is a reference and 30 is the memory in the object in the memory. If suppose I do b equals to a, then what it will do is it will create another reference b which will point to same location as a. And how can I get that? Just print the value, print the id of a and print the id of b. So what it will do is return the identity of an object. So if I print the identity of these two, then let's see what we get. So let me just quickly open my terminal and run this program. So this is my first program and I want to just give it a execute permission, and let's see. So here you can see that the what you can say id of the first object is same as the second object. But let's suppose what I do is I just quickly change the value of b a to 90. Then let's do the same thing here. So if I do it again, if I run it again, let's see what we get. And now you can see that earlier the id was same. It means that both the variables b and a were pointing to the same object in memory, but now the ids have changed and b is still pointing to the older object, whereas a has changed the reference and a new object has been created in memory, that is 90, and now a is pointing to that. So here is the id of a and this is the id of b. So this is how we store an integer in memory in Python. So if the another kind of data type that we have is float, and how we can define a float is simply like this, and let me print it for you. So if I run it again, then you can see that I get a floating point number here. So this is how we can define a floating point number. Now if we go back, we have seen integers, how to define, just define a variable. Then let's not write this one. We have discussed about integer and float, and then we will be discussing about these further kind of data types in our further videos when we will be going more deeper into Python. Now what is the naming convention that we can use in Python? So there are three naming conventions which we need to follow. First one is that we should always use or start a name with this a to z, or you can say a to z, or a underscore or underscore. So these are the three kind of what you can say characters with which we can start our variable names, and we can have following a to z, or capital A to z, or 0 to 9, or we can put underscore or hyphen as well in our variables, in our variable names. And then this is just a convention, not a syntactical thing. So here capital is used to define constants in Python. So this is not hard coded, but just a convention in Python. But these two rules need to be followed strictly in Python. And let me quickly show you a practical of this. So let me go to back to my interpreter or Visual Studio Code, and here I need to write naming convention. Let me define a variable c, and what I will do is I will just use cat, then I will just say 90 is equals to 30, and if I put print it, print cat 90, then you can see it doesn't throw any error and it prints the value 30. Let me use another character, that is cat hyphen 90. So it is saying cat is not defined, expression cannot be assignment. So let me quickly type it here and save this program. So here you can see that it is saying cannot assign to operator. So here you cannot use hyphen here, so here is a small correction, we cannot use minus. So these are the three kind of characters which we use, A to Z or A to Z in capitals or 0 to 9 or a underscore. So let me move back to my Visual Studio Code, and here you can see that if I print this, now it will not give me any error and you will get the answer or the value of cat underscore 90 printed on the screen. But if suppose I put this underscore before the variable name, let's see what happens. Again this is also supported, and let me run the program again and you can see that it has printed 30 on the screen. Now let me change this underscore with a number and let's see what happens. So this is not allowed, and you can see that there is a syntax error that is saying that invalid syntax. So if I go back to my WordPad, so here you can see we should always start a name with A to Z or underscore. So this is the naming convention which says that we should always have a variable name starting with A to Z in capitals or small or underscore. Then second thing is we can have A to Z or 0 to 9 or underscore in our naming convention, that also we have seen and verified. And finally this is just a convention, so it is not hard coded. Even if you define a variable or a constant using small letters, that is also acceptable. So there is no check in Python, but yes, this is a convention which we should always follow as a good programming practice. Now let's move to the section on the arithmetic operations in Python. And if suppose we want to perform some arithmetic operation in Python, then we can simply do it using, let me say, arithmetic operation in Python. So let's suppose you want to add two numbers, then you can simply do it a plus b, or let me remove this line from here because it will cause a syntax error for me. A plus b is already defined, so let me define a and b again. A is 90, b is also b is 80. And suppose if you want to define two variables together, you can also do it like this, 80. So now let's print what's the value of a plus b. So here what I have done is I have just performed a mathematical operation, that is addition, and if I print the answer, then you know that it will print the value 90 plus 80, that is 170. If I want to do a float operation or a float division, then what I will do is I will simply type a divided by, let me print anything that gives me a float output. Let me first divide it by 9. Let's see what is the output. Then here you can see that it has given me a float value, that is 10.0. and if suppose I want an integer division to be done, that is the output should be of integer type, then I will simply put double slash here. So here you can see the difference, that earlier it was 10.0 but now the value comes out to be 10. So by default in Python 3, the division is always this division operator always returns me a floating value, and if we want to perform integer division, then we should always use a double slash. So if I go back here, then if suppose I want to perform a float division, I should use slash, and if I want to perform an integer division, I will use double slash. Now let me again quickly show you another example, and here what I will do is print, and what I want is I want 3 to be divided by 10 to be divided by 3, and it should perform integer division. So let's see what it gives. So here you can see that 3 divided by 10, it will give me the only the integer part and will skip the floating part. But if suppose I want the floating part as well, then what I will do is I will just remove one slash from here, and now see here it has returned me the floating part as well along with this. So this is how we can perform arithmetic operations in Python, and specifically we have seen that what does double slash and single slash stands for in Python. Now another point is how we can find the remainder in Python. So to find a remainder in Python, you need to use modulo operator. So let's suppose I want that 10 divided by 3, what is the remainder of 10 divided by 3. So let's see what it returns, and here you can see it has returned me 1. So this is 1, that is the division of 3, or 10 divided by 3, that is 1. Let me do it with let me do this thing, the same thing with 12, and let's see what is the output now. So here you can see the output is 0. So whenever 12 is divided by 3, then the remainder is 0. So this is how we can find remainder in Python. And for other operations like addition and subtraction, that is simply we can do it like this, as we have seen. So we have seen all the kind of arithmetic operation, that is plus, minus, then we have used slash, then we have used double slash, then you have seen the modulo. So these are the some common operations, or the some basic arithmetic operations which we can do in in Python. And there are several other functions which are available in Python, but those functions we will be taking up later when we will be diving deep into Python. So moving on to my next topic, that is how we can pass comments in Python. So we have already seen this, that how you can pass comments in Python. So this is how we pass comments in Python, and these lines are ignored in Python whenever the interpreter runs. And let me also tell this one point, that Python is a interpreted language, which means that it reads your code line by line, and there is a difference between a compile and the compiled language and the interpreted language that you can read through by internet. So I will not be taking that thing. So that is all for my first video. Hope you would have enjoyed the practicals, and please follow these practicals do these practicals by yourself, so that you can have a good knowledge of these basics about Python. So I will be coming with a new lecture on Python in my next video. So till then, bye bye, and please do comment in my videos if you have any doubts. So thank you.